Welcome back to episode 14 of the Over the Shoulder podcast. This week we're going over the history of the WWF/WWE Women's Championship history. Of course, I'm joined again with my co-host, Rob. And who do we have this week as a special guest co-host?
Well, I got to tell you, Max, I'm really excited for this episode, and it kind of hits home. Me and my wife are really big fans of the Women's Evolution belts, and we, as a podcast, are delighted to have Balorfan85 with us as a special co-host. I got to tell you, Balorfan85, absolutely amazing. He has probably one of the best women's collections that I have ever seen. And so it's Wayne Bullard and along with his wife, Victoria Bullard. Wayne has agreed to do this with us as a special co-host. So I'm actually going to introduce him. So Wayne, why don't you say something?
What is going on, guys? Balorfan85 here. I normally start my YouTube videos off with that. Why not go ahead and do it here? First off, thank you guys so much for having me, especially on this women's edition. My wife and I, we do have a pretty good women's collection, mainly evolution themed. I think you guys are going to get into that in a little bit. But it's going to be nice to talk anything other than Elmo or anything other than babies. So I'm very happy to actually be able to talk about belts. Thank you guys so much.
No problem, Wayne. And so a little bit of background about Wayne is he started Wrestling Review Society along with Kevin Rodriguez and Ashley Rodriguez, and they were doing a whole bunch of videos, and they started that Facebook group. Great guys. Max and I are really, really big fans of that. We watched those videos and everything. And then Victoria and Wayne decided to move away from that, and they were doing Balorfan85 under the original YouTube name. So I get a great kick out of his YouTube videos. Really, really awesome guy. Awesome people. Great collection. So we, as the Belt Addicts Anonymous, to the Belt Addicts Anonymous universe, we are really happy to be bringing this episode to you guys. You guys deserve it, so we should just jump right in. What do you say, Max?
Exactly. Well
Let's
said.
do it.
So, starting off with the pink Alundra Blaze WWF Women's title, this is, of course, the Dave Milligan, debuted in 1993. And what do you guys think about it, Rob?
Absolutely. It's such a cool belt. It really, really is. So I actually ended up seeing another YouTube video, and I think it was Roy Pop's Culture Promo. He did one video. On his collection, and he actually had this belt in there. And it was made by Classic Shields, the belt. The size was perfect. And you know what? I got to be really honest, guys. When I saw that belt, I thought that it was... I couldn't even tell that it was a maker. I really, really couldn't. It looked really, really good. As far as this belt goes, I would love to have it in my collection. I really would. I love the pink strap. I absolutely do. The side plates, they're okay. The main plate is kind of cool with the texturing around the women's and the wrestling champion. This one looks pretty good. But I know, Wayne, you have one in your collection. You had one made.
Yeah, I do. First off, this belt, the pink, my wife calls it the Pepto-Bismol belt, but this is the women's belt that started it for me. I was born in 85. I know there was the Mae Young and Moolah. I know there was a Moolah belt, I think, when I was born, but this is the first women's belt I remember. And I've always liked it. It was really small. I had to get that belt made. Now the problem, first off, shout out to the maker, Jamil Sulery. He's a good maker. He's got some potential that he has to reach so far. So when I had this belt made, I asked him first and foremost to make sure it was a woman size, because this title is actually very small compared to a men's title. This belt is one of the ones that I can remember being a lot smaller than the men's title. So of course he made it man size, so it's kind of big, but he did a good job on the plates. The belt in this camera, I think it looks more accurate to the belt that you guys just showed. In real life, this belt is a darker pink than that. So that's just a couple of little nitpicks. I'm glad I've got it in the collection because, like I said, this is a childhood thing. I know a lot of you guys, we collect belts because they remind us of our childhood. And even going up into the older we get, belts still catch our eye, and it puts us back in that place where we were children. And I don't know about you guys, the Winged Eagle, the TV title, the U.S. title, I had to have those belts. Now that we're older and we have money, why not go ahead and buy them? So this is one of those belts that I'm glad I actually got. I'd love to get a smaller version. Classic Shields, I'm sure, would knock this out of the park. But I'm glad I got this one in the collection at least.
Yeah, and it looks pretty good, Wayne. I mean, it absolutely does. The leather. How did he do with the leather? And he looks like he's got a curve on that too. No, right?
He's got just a small curve, nothing special. The leather, I told you guys before the show, this guy also made a big eagle that I have. That leather is the best leather that I've held in person. I mean, it's so good. This has a little bit to be desired. I think it's because maybe the pink dye, maybe it was a little bit heavy, maybe it stiffened it a little bit as opposed to, what is normally used. But all in all, I mean, it's not a terrible... It's not terrible with the strap. It does have flexibility in it. It fits over the shoulder nice. All in all, I think I gave it in my review a 6 out of 10. So that's not too bad. It's just too big. The pink is too dark. Like I said, the maker can actually do a pretty good job. He makes minis. He knocks them out of the park. I've got a big eagle that's really, really close to what I want in any maker's belts. But this was a good start.
Yeah.
I mean, how's the tooling on that leather? Is it pretty good, or
basically it's stamped in a snap box?
Yeah, standard.
Nothing. And shout out to Stephen Hammer, by the way. I never knew this about belts until I talked to him, but it does have that box of doom.
Oh yeah.
There.
He ruined belts for me. After that, I noticed in every belt.
Stephen Hammer, I love you and I hate you because now I can't stop looking at boxes of doom.
Yeah.
Now it's so. I'm be honest, Wayne. If that belt, let's say, it came to you, and let's say it was smaller, would you bump that review up to maybe 8 or 9 out of 10?
Yeah, if it was smaller, I definitely would.
Okay.
I didn't really have a problem with the pink being a little darker. This is more like Pepto-Bismol, to be honest. The other one is a lighter pink, the real belt. I didn't really have a problem with that. I actually kind of like this shade of pink on it. If it was smaller, I think I would enjoy it more. And maybe if the plates, the plates do have a couple of spots. I know we get what we pay for.
Right. No doubt.
But then again, there, like I said, there's room. He's left stuff to be desired.
Mm-hmm. Okay. It's not bad. It's a great belt.
Yeah. But for the design, I have to say, I really do enjoy it. The side plates are a little weird how the flags are sideways. I feel like I would have preferred if they were like upright.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like the strap. I like the lighter pink. They do on the presentation. I found like a version with a white strap and then 4 side plates. So I thought that version was okay. I do prefer the lighter pink though. It's not bad. I love the nugget texturing. The main plate, no issues. Side plates, a little weird for me, but overall, not bad design.
Yeah, and it's weird on that belt, guys. I mean, if we look at the Hogan and we look at the Andre, they got more flags, right? They're almost like they're like singling out like what are the most important countries in the world here with just 4 of them. And I get it, it's a women's belt with having a 3-plater, but I don't know if the flags were upright a little bit. And maybe they added a little bit more. Maybe they don't do so much on some of those side plates. Maybe they could add maybe another flagger, maybe another flag. I don't know. I just would have liked a little bit more. And mind you, I guess, it's back in the 90s, so maybe you can.
For the 4 flags they did pick, it does make sense when you look at them. Japan, U.S., Canada, Mexico. Yeah. Especially for wrestling.
That's
true. It makes sense why
Yeah.
they picked them, but yeah, I wish they were upright. Looks weird.
Yeah, definitely. In the late 80s to all the way to the late 90s, that was when title belts actually looked like trophy belts. Now you have the corporate logos. With the exception, like I said, you've got a few of them that are, I love the new AEW title, but back in the late 80s to mid to late 90s, that's when the belts really looked prestigious, in my opinion. You had that extra texturing, you had more plates, you had everything. To me, everything looked prestigious. Even your mid-card titles, even your tag team titles looked just as good as your heavyweight titles. So any belt that I see come out of this era, even, like I said, even the women's title, I've got to give a kudos to, because those belts were so amazing.
Yeah. No, I agree.
No.
And of course, this is a title that she threw in the trash can on Monday Nitro. Do you guys remember watching this?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was one of the most iconic moments when she threw it in the trash bin. I don't even know how old I was. I'm born in '84, so I mean, I was just a kid, obviously, when that happened. Absolutely amazing. That was an iconic moment. And the guy who had the belt on that YouTube channel actually got it signed by Alondra Blaze on one side of the strap and Medusa on the other side to commemorate the moment. So this is one of the most iconic moments, I would believe, for this belt. Yes. I don't know, Wayne, what do you think?
No, I definitely agree. In WCW, and I think you're only a year older than me, Rob. In WCW, there were a couple of things that just stay in my head forever. One was this, where she had it turned long ways and then flipped it sideways so you could actually see it, dropped it. It was this, and it was Kevin Nash with the look at the adjective play. Those were two WCW moments right when you knew that the war was going to start. Yeah. So, definitely remember this. And you can also see how small that belt was. That's why every time I see this belt, the belt that I have, I kind of kick myself a little bit because, that belt is supposed to be really small.
Yeah, that makes sense. And of course, after that, they went to the WWF Attitude Era Women's title with the WWF's logo. This title is very similar to the Smoking Skull. Like, if you look at the shape of the plate, it's very similar, and then the background is similar too. So I didn't really notice this until I saw a review of the women's title. What do you guys think about this one?
Well, and I totally agree, Max. I mean, I think that this definitely has a lot of similarities to the skull belt with the cut and with the cut of the leather. I mean, I'm okay with the belt. I am. I don't like, and if I was going to point out here, I don't like the distance the distance between the main plate and the side plates. I think it's a little bit off just to have that much of a distance here. The side plates are really, really small, I think, for this belt. Maybe you can make them a little bit bigger. As far as the main plate goes, I do like the main plate, though. I really, really do. Obviously they can't use the F logo anymore, but I do like the way that they had the women's champion. Like, they kind of start off and then they go big and then they go small, and then the champion, they do the same thing. So I do like that. With the 2001 Figs Inc. Releases, this was definitely one of them that was released on the Figures Inc. replica line. So I have seen this version, obviously, of the belt, that people have owned this belt. I mean, one of our guys is Casey, who is admin on Belt Addicts Anonymous, has this belt, ended up getting it. He actually got it signed by Trish Stratus. Well, he got it signed by Trish Stratus and got rid of the signature because he didn't want it, and then put the WWF logo plate on it. But anyways, I don't know if I would have done that. But as far as, is it a good belt? It is. I think there's too much leather. I just think that there's too much leather here with respect to it. Now, not saying that, it's a bad belt. I'm not. But, I mean, some of the things, I think that could have been done with this belt. I don't know. What do you guys think?
So I will say this: a lot of the belts around this time, when especially when this title came out, I don't know if you noticed it, with the birth of the Attitude Era, it seemed like all their belts had an attitude to them. If you look at this belt, you've got jagged edges, you've got just points everywhere. You know what I mean? It screams attitude. This lasted quite a while. It was one of the last vestiges of the Attitude Era. So I've always got a soft spot for this. We've actually got the mini belt right here. One thing I love about it is the backing. The backing is kind of an orangish, brownish backing, and it's snakeskin, if you can look right here. So it's as far as quality, that belt had a lot of quality. I agree with a lot of stuff you're saying, Rob, in that, there may be a bit too much leather and everything, but you got to look at it as just that. Like I said, it's an attitude. Look at the side plates. The same way you have the center plate, it looks like something was scratched, like one of those scratch things. And you have gold, and you have that dark around it, like the WWF and the Globe was scratched, like a scratch-off ticket, kind of, in my opinion. To me, like I said, it screams Attitude Era. I do like the belt. I love the orange backing on it. I love the snakeskin backing. I'm going to be biased on a lot of these belts because, again, I grew up in the Attitude Era, just like Rob. Max, I'm not sure how old you are. You look like a young buck.
I'm 18.
He's a young guy.
You don't remember the Attitude Era as far as like living it. It was so cool to be able to flip the channels back into. With the WCW, you had those classic looking titles. You come over to WWF once they went into the Attitude Era in full swing. those titles got a little bit of attitude to them. So I really enjoy that aspect of it. And like I said, I may be nostalgic, but I do really love this title.
Well, I do have to be honest, guys. I mean, as you can see here behind me, I am a Figs Inc. belt collector as well as a shop collector. Would I own this belt? Of course I would. I mean, it's a great replica. Do I think that they could have done some other things with it? Yes, I did know. Yeah, Wayne, you're absolutely right, though. It kind of looks like a scratch-off ticket, though. I never even noticed that on the main plate on the side plates. Max, what do you think about that? I didn't even notice that.
Sorry, say it again?
Sorry, it looks like a scratch-off ticket.
Yeah, when Wayne said that, I
didn't notice that.
I'm going to be honest. I know you guys are liking this belt. The more I look at it, the less I like it.
I know.
I'm sorry. Like, maybe if I was born back then and I knew the history behind it, but it just seems like sloppy to me. Like, for a women's world title, I think it should be prestigious. Like the Alundra Blaze title, it should be like a trophy. This doesn't scream world title to me. It just seems like a hardcore title to me. The design is reused from the Smoking Skull. You can see the barbed wire going around, which is just lazy from Jamar's part. Like, he couldn't have chosen. I mean, why is the barbed wire still there? It doesn't make sense. They didn't have barbed wire mat. I don't know. The scratch ticket thing, I don't like that. I never liked the WWF scratch logo. I always preferred the block logo.
Yeah, I mean, for me though, I have to be honest here. Even though the belt, it's not my favorite belt, I still would have it in my collection. Just to say I have it in my collection, that's a big thing for me with respect to that.
Definitely. I would like to see a little more tooling on the strap. It is a little basic, and it's kind of the way that I'm sure, Rob, you as a Figs Inc. collector, I've only got one Figs Inc. belt. The rest are shops or boots or anything. That was my very first belt. It was this Undisputed right here. It was a deluxe. But a lot of those titles, I'm sure you remember this. A lot of those titles were basic. Even if there was tooling on the actual belt, the replica would have no tooling whatsoever for the most part. It would be a flat strap. So, going back to that, I would like to see a little bit more on that as far as tooling, but it would make for an easy replica because, there was no tooling anyway.
Yeah.
No, definitely.
Sorry about that. I had a bit of technical difficulties, but we are back, and you can see there the strap. I don't know. It seems a little weird. You can see the Jamar property plate. I love that. I love property plates. But the snaps are 2x4.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
On a 2x4 on a youth kids replica, usually are the 2x4. Usually you have a 2x5 on the female snaps. What happened to you, Jamar? Did you miss out on a snap?
Once again, it just seems like rushed. I don't know.
It's a little rushed.
Like, I understand the history behind it, and it looks great there in China, but it just doesn't scream women's championship. It should be prestigious. Like, right now, not the WWE Women's title, but the NXT Championship, the NXT UK, even the AEW Women's title, they just look prestigious to me. They look like world titles. This doesn't look like a world title to me. That's just my...
Yeah, back, a few years ago to what they can do now, there definitely is a sizable difference. With respect to the title belts that they had, yeah, could they have done a little bit more? They could, but again, replicas and as belt collectors, just having it in the collection is a huge thing for all of us. It's exactly it. So I would still have it. I would probably go more after the F version just because I'm a rare belt collector. And shout out to you, but and Wayne, you know him, but Colin Sove got me huge as a huge rare belt collector. He's a rare belt collector. So for myself, I definitely would have it.
Yeah.
One thing about this title, I don't know if you guys have noticed this or not. You don't see many boots of this title. There are a lot of titles that always get boots. This is one of those that most people in the Figs Inc. version for, and I think it's because you're kind of getting, especially now with shop, they brought out the 5mm plates. You're getting better quality. You might as well spend about the same amount of money getting the shop version over this. Now, like you said with the WWF version, you're going to get those 2mm plates, but you don't see this belt booted very often, so it is nice to see people go after more the Figs Inc. version or the shop version.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like there's some belts that should never be like bootlegged. Spinner, please, never logo.
Well, I will say I won't say never because with technology getting better and better, eventually they will have a decent version of it. once they learn that it's kind of like a transformer, you've just got to put all the pieces together instead of putting two pieces together and making it look something. I'm sure that'll happen eventually. Mm-hmm. How far down the road, I don't know, but I got a feeling it will happen eventually. They will make a decent version.
I hope so. I mean, like, not never, but currently, I don't know. You can't really find a good spinner. Of course, they went to the WWE logo. This is the real version. At WrestleMania Access, you can see the strap is pretty rough, but what do you guys think about this one, the WWE over the WWF?
Well, so, I mean, there are some sizable differences. There are obviously fine. They can't use the F logo. However, on this version, as I was talking about with the F version, you notice that the distance from the side plates to the main plates are definitely a lot better. I find that the cut on the leather is a little bit more tight. I do a little bit. I do like this, actually. I really do. It does look like it's been ring used, no doubt. I mean, it's got the rugged look. I mean, for me, and a lot of people will complain here, and they all do. It's like, oh, well, it's the WWE logo. It's not the F logo. Yes, guys, we realize it is. We can't do anything about that. So we absolutely can't. So, I mean, beggars can't be choosers here. Would I own this one? Of course I would, but not for the price tag that they probably have on it.
Yeah.
Now, Rob, let me ask you this. I don't mean to take over for a second, go off on a tangent. I'm known to do that. Rob, let me ask you this. You see a WWE logoed women's title right there. As far as autographs, what are your takes on autographs? I see you've got autograph belts back there. Would you put a WWF champion on a WWE logoed winged eagle, something like that? What are your? Because I'll give you mine right quick, just to kind of go. I've got this winged eagle back here, signed by 7 of the current living, I think 9 champions still around. 9 or 10, I'm not sure. It is a WWE logo, but it's so hard now. Well, it's not hard now because you can find a WWF boot anywhere, but it's so hard to find an officially licensed WWE product with a WWF logo. They did it 15 years ago. So I don't have a problem with it. What are your thoughts on that?
Hey, Wayne, that's a great question, but I've got no problem with people with wrestlers that were wrestling in the WWF era and then autographing a WWE belt. So, for instance, the WWE Winged Eagle, which is just kind of over to my left, that's a shop version. I got that signed by Brett. I've got no issue with that. As far as I don't know, like for instance, you take a big gold. I was at a live event one time, and I was in the VIP, and I saw somebody have a big gold, and they got Bailey to sign the big gold. That is where I kind of draw the line a little bit. Having a women's wrestler autograph a men's belt. I mean, that for me is not great. But as far as having Brett sign a WWE version, I'm totally fine. Having people that are let's say WWE signing WWF, I'm totally fine with that. Absolutely. I mean, you're absolutely right. It is really, really hard to find those different types of versions. I absolutely agree. But with that WWE Winged Eagle, I had Brett deck the whole thing out. I mean, with his slogan, with everything, and I mean, and also Max as a WWE Winged Eagle, I also got him that I got signed by Brett as well. And I think that him and I have, and I'm not speaking for Max, I don't think we have any quarries of having him sign that. No, there's no doubt.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, for me, if they held that design, I don't care if it's WWE or WWF. If they held that design, I don't have an issue. But if they haven't held that title, I wouldn't want to get it signed. I wouldn't get Brett to sign my network logo or just another. It just doesn't make sense to me. If they haven't held that belt, I don't see why they would sign it.
Nah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rob.
No, sorry. I was going to mention one more thing, is that we ended up doing a tag team title episode previously, and my SmackDown tag is signed by the New Day, which obviously have held it, but it's also signed by the members of the Shield. Mm-hmm. It is to commemorate that duo, that rivalry that they had.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's cool. That's cool. You don't see that. And to have Ambrose sign that right now, obviously he's Moxley in AEW. I mean, that just makes it so much more rare.
Well, yeah. Sorry to interrupt you, but if it has a purpose like that, then I think it's cool. They had a rivalry. That makes sense to me then.
Absolutely. So, no, sorry, but Wayne.
No, I will say like the Stone Cold's belt back here. It's a WWE shop version.
Mhm.
It is signed by Stone Cold. But going even to a deeper tangent, like you guys were saying, where you had just miscellaneous people on your belts. I will say this in that regard. So, sorry, I wasn't expecting to bring it out. I do believe in. I have a couple of belts. I've since changed the strap on one. Now it's only holders. But I do have, a belt or two. One of them being that Toys R Us network logo. I've also got this belt. To me, this was the second belt I ever got. And I've turned it into my miscellaneous signatures. Now, I will say this. I do have plenty of This, to me, is more personal than anything. So I'm not worried about value to it. But I've got people like... Bailey, Baron Corbin, Charles Robinson, Tyson Kidd. I've got Finn Balor. I've got Hideo Itami, R-Truth, Charlotte. I've got a ton of people on this. I will say this: if you want something that is a personal piece to you and you want to display it and you want to be proud of it, I don't have a problem with having miscellaneous signatures on it, as long as you realize it's not going to change the value.
Yeah.
For the most part, like I said, I don't do this very often, and I've retired this belt. I think I've got 16 signatures on it, but every other belt, for the most part, has got only holders. So, I can kind of see both sides, but I will say if you do just want a miscellaneous piece, it would be like a WWE logoed belt, WWF logo belt, something that represents the pinnacle of the company. Wouldn't have a problem with it. Like I said, as long as you know it's not going to change the value, it's not going to be a $3,000 piece. It might even degrade the value. So more power to you. More power to you. Just realize that before you go into it. Make it a personal piece. Do with it what you want.
Yeah, and that's actually a good point, Wayne. So Casey, KLFan93 has the Attitude Era replica belts of the whole 2001 line, and most of those belts he actually, and I believe he'll never sell those belts. He never will. He got them signed by Al Snow, and he actually had it personalized to him on the belt. So, I mean, yeah, guys, if you think that signatures are going to produce a humongous value, I mean, fine, maybe on some of them. But if you're holding a piece that's true to your heart, like Wayne just mentioned, I mean, absolutely. All the power to you, absolutely. And that's something you probably won't even sell, Wayne. Probably not, because that's dear to you.
No, not at all. And like I said, if I ever do sell it, I'll understand the fact that I'm not going to expect $1,000 for it. I'll probably take a hit on it, but that'll only be if I really need the money and I'm out of kidneys. So that's just kind of the way it is.
Yeah, if it has sentimental value, who cares what me or Rob or anyone says? It's important for you. I mean, at the end of the day, it's your collection. If you like it, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Moving, of course, some of the famous champions that held this title: Lita, Mickie James, Trish Stratus. What do you guys, when you see this title, what do you think about the women's division back then?
It's a lot different than the women's division now. There's no question. But when I think about the women's division back then, I think that they were starting to come in their own, because, I mean, even before then, they were doing, and I mean, I got to tell you, they had a men's match, then they had a pillow fight. Then they went back to the men's match. So these three really, I think, really started it. I really do. I mean, on camera, I mean, I've always had a thing for Trish, but anyways, fellow Canadian. But I do think of these three. I really do, back in the day when they were really starting it out. If it wasn't for these three, I don't know where it would be. I really don't. I'm glad we don't see pillow fights. I really do, because I mean, that's just like, oh man, it's great to see, but I mean, to be honest, I mean, I'll just get up and go take a piss, and then I'll come back for the men's match. So women's wrestling back then, these three, I think, again, started it. You started to have those really, really good matches. You really did, and then it just exploded. I think from there. I really do. Wayne, what do you think?
Well, you know how there are posts around, if you could pick three people to start your promotion, who would you pick? What would this? At one time in this actual promotion, these were the only three that were actually viable for the championship. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, they made it work night in and night out. You knew it was probably one of those three was going to be champion, but you didn't mind it. You looked forward to those matches. They put on great matches. So that is the epitome. Every time I see those, pick three to start your promotion, you got to think about these three, because in the women's title division at that time, these were the only three, and they still made it believable every week, who could be the champion.
Right.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And then I believe around this time, you had Molly Holly around this time, Stacy Keibler, Tori Wilson. Were they able to hold the title? Molly Holly maybe, he did. But these three, absolutely, you're absolutely right, Wayne. If we were to start a promotion, these would be the three I would headline. There's no question about it.
We talk about women's wrestling being at a bit of a high at this point, and the next belt I think is, no disrespect, but I think is one of the lower points in women's wrestling, especially in WWE, and that is the Divas division. Coming from this high, the Attitude Era, Lita, Trish Stratus, Mickie James having these great matches, and then they changed it to the Divas title. I know there's been some women's wrestlers, so we'll talk about them later, who held this title and tried to add prestige to it, but I could never take it seriously. Divas just seem so degrading. What do you guys think?
Yeah, and you're probably thinking, Max, is that you had this Attitude Women's belt, and then you went to this belt, and it's almost like, oh well, WWE, WWF, what are you guys doing? Are you trying to go put these girls back into like the pillow fighting mode as being an actual diva? I can see where you're coming from. With respect to the prestige of this belt. If I were to talk about though the design of this belt, I do actually like this belt. It's a unique belt. Yeah, it really is. The funky shapes of the side plates are really, really cool. It is only a 3-plater. It is, but that main plate is kind of cool. I think it really is. And with respect to the rhinestones that go around the plate, really, really cool. Right on the replica, they're pink. I get a lot of people who come in here, and I have this belt, and we'll show it off when we get to the replicas. But I have a lot of people that come in here, and some of like my nieces and nephews who come in here, and that's the one belt that they see is obviously why color. Color is a big thing. Just looking at color is really, really cool. For this belt, though, I do like the scratch logo rather than the network logo. It is a more rare type of belt, having the scratch as well. I think that the nameplate, like the nameplate, it's being really, really small. I think they could have done a little bit better with that. As far as the, what is it? I'm just looking at this. I don't know, what is it? Flower or rose? Stitching around that tooling? I don't know. It's kind of cool. I think it's, what is it? Rose? Like roses? I don't know.
It's some sort of flower.
Flower. That's kind of cool because you don't see that on some of the other belts. But I agree with you, Max. They kind of they were on their way up, and then they kind of stepped back a little bit. But when I see this title, I think about, Charlotte. I think about all those girls. But I think about the night after WrestleMania and back in 2014 when Paige won this belt off of AJ Lee.
Oh, yeah.
As and that was a huge moment. Her coming up, being the youngest Divas champion at that time. That was an incredible match. And AJ held that belt for so long at that point, and for her to come in there and win that, Paige being the first NXT Women's Champion, I think that was just, it was just an awesome moment. And again, you're talking to a guy that's a humongous Paige fan. I'm a massive Paige fan. Anyways,
for sure.
Wayne, what do you think?
So I will say this: this is a girly title, and I don't want to come off the wrong way by saying it's a girly title. There's proof just a little further into this episode that you can make a girly title and make it look awesome. Make it look really good. There's proof to that, and I'll explain when we get there. This is one of those. I've heard a word recently, and that word is called toyetic. You want to make something that would look good as a toy. To me, that is kind of what this did. You wanted something to hook the little girls to come in and to buy the product too, because I'm sure at the time you had a lot of boys, you had a lot of men all buying. You wanted to have something for the younger female demographic. So kudos to them on that. It didn't work for me. To to me, when I see this title, I think of My Little Pony for some reason. But kudos to them. The belt lasted way longer than it should have. I'm glad they got they got rid of it. Hopefully, they will never do anything like this again. I don't think you need this kind of theme for what you're doing. Even in the era where you had nothing but models coming in, it just didn't. To me, it didn't work. Now, again, if it worked for you, that's great. It just didn't work for me.
Yeah. No, I have to agree. I just never liked the Divas name. I mean, I don't see the point. It could just say women's. Even in TNA when they do knockouts, I don't understand that. Why? What's the point? I don't like that. I should be women. They're women. They're not divas. Of course, it's a closer look at it. I mean, it's well made. Yeah, the stones are nice, but it's a toy. Like you said, it just looks like a toy to me.
I will say this: I do love the curved plates. I love how there's not really any points to the plates. I mean, everything is rounded perfectly, and it looks like it has a good thickness to it. I won't knock the quality at all. I just don't think the theme matched with anything that I thought was workable.
Yeah, for sure. Now, here are some of the more well-known champions, like we were talking Paige, AJ Lee, Beth Phoenix, Caitlyn. I like Caitlyn. I always liked Caitlyn. Charlotte Flair. What do you guys think about this era? Some of these champions. Who's your favorite champion who held this belt?
Well, you know what my favorite is. My favorite is, I mean, Paige all the way. But if I had a close second, I mean, I do love AJ Lee. I am a big AJ Lee fan, and when Paige won the belt off her, and then they went through kind of the rivalry a little bit, and then AJ winning the belt again off of that, I think about these girls. These girls were really, really big for me. I'm not, and I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not a Charlotte fan. I'm not. I just think that, and obviously now with what happening to Rick, who knows? I mean, she's worked hard. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it's been spoon-fed, and I don't think it's been given to her. But I'm just not. I'm not a fan of her. I really think about Paige and AJ Lee with this belt. So.
I will say this: you've got some really good champions right there. There is a scenario in these pictures of one of these things is not like the other. If you look at Paige, AJ, Charlotte, Caitlyn, they can kind of all pull this butterfly look off. Even Caitlyn, kind of being kind of a punk rock girl, she can pull it off. Look at Beth Phoenix in the stance that she's holding, and she's holding a butterfly belt. That just doesn't.
Yeah,
I was a huge Beth Phoenix fan. I loved everything about her, especially when she went with Santino. They had the perfect comedic duo, but it just doesn't work on some people. Even Charlotte, it works on Charlotte, but just that pose where she looks like Wonder Woman right there, and she's holding a butterfly belt. It just goes to show you it doesn't work on everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Now moving on to what you were talking about, girly belt, but it looks good. The NXT Women's title. I always liked this when it first came out. It is a smaller belt, but I don't think it's a huge issue. Of course, it has side plates, kind of. I mean, they don't have too much of a design on the side plates, but I do really enjoy this title. Wayne, I know you have this replica. Do you want to show it off?
Yeah, this is the NXT. I'm glad I bought this when I did, because this didn't last on shop long. And I got to admit, this is probably the best quality shop belt I've ever seen. In that, I mean, look at the curve right here. This was the first shop belt that I ever bought that had a real good curve. Now they've got a couple of them. The Cruiserweight title has a heck of a curve to it. I think there's another one. I can't remember right off bat which other one had a curve to it, but this was the first one that had a curve. Look at how thick these plates are. Just amazing plates. I love the rhinestones. I need to dust this off a little bit. Like I said, if it's not Elmo, I really haven't been involved in anything. So I need to clean this off. But yeah, you've got, I guess you'd call them side plates. You have on the left and the right, the very first set, they are rhinestoned in. The pink is actually a very good color with this belt. You have more of this chrome look, this mirrored look. It is a fingerprint magnet, but you do have the stones on the first set of quote-unquote side plates, and then the next one is a mirrored set. You have the same kind of tooling. I don't know if you can see. You have kind of the same kind of tooling that you have in the butterfly belt. Mm-hmm. And then you have, just like the NXT title at the time, you just had a very long strap with just a ton. Like, if you look back here at this, it almost matched this NXT title in that, just a long series of snaps on each side. This is signed by Bailey, by the way. I love this tooling. I love everything about this belt. This was probably, up until WWE Shop upped their game with belts, this was probably my favorite belt that WWE Shop created. I'm glad I bought it because it did not last long. Now these belts are pretty valuable. So I'm really glad I got this belt, and this is probably one of my favorite belts in the collection.
And it's a unique belt as well because you see the women's belts being a 3-plater. That's a 1-plater, and they can just totally get away with that.
Yeah.
I'm actually becoming even more of a fan of that belt. I really have. I've seen it re-stoned too, with absolutely amazing stones in there, and just with respect to that really, I think, is an amazing belt that just shows what the women's what the women of NXT definitely were. And with Paige being the first NXT champion, of course, my favorite. I absolutely do love it, and it looks like it's very, very well made. It really, really does. A heck of a ton of snaps. The curve is absolutely incredible, and absolutely amazing. How's the back though, Wayne? How's the back of that?
I mean, it's your standard backing.
Okay.
But one thing I do love, the old Figs Inc. belts and everything, even these to an extent, they bubbled a lot. I'm sure you've seen that. It was terrible, cheap vinyl with the cardboard and the foam on the inside. These are made very well. I mean, this belt, you can see there's no bubbling to it whatsoever. Everything is where it needs to be. Most of the time in this area, this is where you get the bubble, where you get the bends. Right. And these straps are made very, very well. So, yeah, again, kudos. This was the first really perfectly made WWE Shop replica. I met Bailey and got to hold the actual NXT title, and it wasn't different than this, really. Mm-hmm. I mean, except a leather strap. I mean, these plates, they're perfect. I mean, you got thick plates. It's not very far off from the actual replica, so I'm more than happy with this belt.
You're talking about the leather strap. Would you ever get it re-leathered or re-stoned?
This one, no.
Oh, sorry, the signature. Never mind.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of weird. If I have signatures on a title, I'm not going to get anything re-leathered. I'm not going to touch it. It's going to display. And it's weird because if I get something on leather, for some reason, I don't want to get it autographed. I don't know what it is about that. I'm kind of weird in that regard.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we feel you. I mean, when I think of this belt as well, I mean, I think about the feud that Bailey and Sasha had. I mean, that is a massive feud. That awesome match, and there it is. Yep, the heck of a match that they did at Takeover. I mean, that was probably one of the best matches I've ever seen.
For sure.
So. I'm a very, very big fan of it. I totally am. And you're right, Wayne. These have become more valuable. I have seen them being sold. I think I saw one being sold for 875 Canadian. Now, as far as we go here, that's, anything in US is like $1 bajillion here in Canadian. Max knows. And then we always get screwed on import. But yeah, they become extremely valuable. And I mean, I've seen unboxing of this. I've seen your video, Wayne. I've seen Miss WWE Fan 13 when she unboxed this belt. It was a really, really good, really, really awesome. And it's just so small. It's so small, and if you want to hang this on the wall, it doesn't even take up that much room. You want to put it in a DTOF, it looks like you need to put more into a DTOF case. I love the size. I love the belt. Mm-hmm. 10 out of 10. I totally agree.
Yeah, Rob. I would definitely recommend, if you don't have this belt, it needs to be. It's one of those belts that needs to be in a collection based on quality. I mean, whether or not you like the belt, the quality of this replica is unbelievable.
It's awesome. I love it. I absolutely do.
And when I think about this title, Rob, you mentioned it, Sasha and Bailey. I just remember watching it take over Brooklyn, and their match was just incredible. I remember just watching the whole time. And back then, I watched wrestling, but I never the last match I remember watching like that was Money in the Bank, Cena and Punk. Mm. That was the last match that captivated me. Just kept me watching the whole time, and seeing this match did the same thing for me. I kept my eyes on the screen. I couldn't stop watching. And when it ended, it just felt like just incredible. And their rematch, their Iron Man match at TakeOver Respect, I believe, the next takeover was incredible too. Their 1 hour match was just phenomenal. So 2 of my favorites for sure.
And these two are friends.
And moving on, when they finally got rid of the Divas title, WrestleMania 32, Lita, of course, perfect woman to unveil it. The Raw Women's, well, at the time it was the women's title. Now we know it as the Raw Women's title. I remember watching this and I was so happy. This was during the pre-show, and I just love this. Now, this is before WWE reused that design for every belt, but I remember seeing this and thinking it was perfect. I mean, it was the same design as the men's title, so I thought equality, it's perfect. In my opinion, I loved it. Now that every title is that design, not so much, but in the moment when it came out, I loved seeing it. Love the white, almost pearl strap, the red backing, absolutely beautiful. Wayne, of course, you have it over your shoulder. You want to show it off?
Yeah, I do. But before we get to that, you pointed on something. Have you guys ever seen The World's End, a Simon Pegg and Nick Frost movie?
No.
They're going to do a pub crawl. It's a 1 mile pub crawl, and they're going to do it. They did it back in the day. They're going to try to do it again. Well, they go into this one restaurant, and everything looks up to date, new. Everything looks kind of uniform.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they have their drinks. They go to the next one. Oh, this is where the character is, and they walk in. It's the exact same thing. I mean, just a different name. The exact same name. What my problem is with WWE is not, and it kind of started with the belts. To be honest, the product now isn't really. I'll be honest. It's boring, and it kind of goes with these titles too, because you have the same exact look on Raw as you do SmackDown. So it's kind of, it's the same cookie, just a different color. So I think now that I'm getting older and I'm seeing what AEW is doing with their titles, mm-hmm. and they're giving it that prestige, it's making me resent WWE a little bit more. We all have a special spot for WWE, because
mm-hmm.
a lot of us grew up on it, but it still doesn't change the fact that, it's basically the same uniform company thing. Now, I will say this, when these belts came out, you had red for Raw, blue for SmackDown. Actually, if you're going to do a logoed belt across the board for your men and women, that's not a bad route to go. First off, with this replica, this isn't a white strap. Mm-hmm. This is kind of a pearl strap. I don't know if you guys can see it. I love this pearl color. It works so well. And it's the same on the mini belts. On these logoed belts, this is, like I said, it's a pearl white, and it works in the camera. So I don't know if you guys can notice that, but it's not straight white. It is that pearl color, and it's kind of a glaze to it, and I absolutely love it. Now, it's going to be your standard replica stiff strap. I mean, like there's really no give to that at all. But all in all, I'm glad we have this belt. We bought it because a couple years ago, I think I went as Finn Balor for Halloween, and Victoria decided to go as Ronda Rousey. So, of course, it gave me an excuse to buy a new belt. I'm not going to turn that down. And I'm actually glad we have this title both in adult replica form and mini replica form.
That's great.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I mean, for me, I'm just a big fan of women's wrestling, so I mean, I had to have it, and I mean, on my version, and I know that we'll talk about this, but I absolutely agree with you, Wayne. It like the white is kind of just off. I put Alexa Bliss side plates on it because I mean, Alexa, I just absolutely love Alexa, but yeah, I mean, that is so flippin' stiff. It absolutely is, that I have to hang it because it just doesn't fold. It just doesn't bend. But as far as like re-leathering it, Max knows that I'm just a big fan of stock straps. I absolutely love to have the patch on it. As far as design goes, let's just talk about design. I mean, they are definitely, if you were to compare this belt to the network logo WWE Championship and the Universal belt, you'll definitely see the size difference. You definitely will. And I get this question a lot, guys, and I want to post this out there. Do you think that they were lazy on the design, that they just kept the design of the network logo championships to be consistent like to be consistent, or do you think that they should have designed this a little bit different? Yeah, mind you, fine. We had the Divas belt. That was totally different than what we had with respect to the championships at that time, even with the name. You're a WWE champion. Oh, but you're a Divas champion too. But do you think that they could have done more on the design here, or do you think that they were just lazy?
I want to say one thing. Right current day, I would say they're lazy. But when it first came out, when every all the designs were different, and this is the only women's title, I absolutely loved it. I loved how it was the same design as the men's world title. I think it just showed how important that title was. That was before the SmackDown, the Universal, then the NXT, and they all started looking like the same. But when it was just the men's and the women's title were the same, I did like that. It made sense to me, and yeah, I loved it. I love this version. Nowadays, yeah, does seem lazy, especially last episode we were talking about the Universal. When the Yet Red Universal came out, that's when it started getting like, okay, yeah, they're just reusing the design. But when it first came out, I did love it. I did like it. So, Wayne, what do you think?
I agree and disagree at the same time. It's kind of weird because I don't think it was so much laziness, so much more as efficientness. Efficiency. I'm getting tongue-tied today for some reason. But I do think it's something, once you get the template, I mean, you can probably knock this out no problem now. So they probably have several of them in the back. Just like every belt, you've got your TV belt, you've got your house show belt, you've got this. I guess it does make sense. I wouldn't say so much lazy as, you rock a template out, put a belt out, and that's it. Now, here's the problem. I think we're a good 10 years away from any sort of creative belts on WWE side. You have your basic WWE logo everywhere. And unless Vince sells or anything, and then you've got, a new thing. Now, I guess we'll find out with NXT 2.0 how they're going to do that. They're basically rebranding NXT. We'll see if they do that. And if they do decide to rebrand Raw or SmackDown, whether or not they'll make new belts, I don't think so. But I do think it's more a way to be efficient with knocking belts out than just laziness, I think is the way I'd go.
And of course, Charlotte was the first woman to hold that title. I mean, it makes sense why, but when they unveiled the new title, I was kind of hoping that Sasha would win it. But I understand why they made her the first Raw women's title, but women's champion. But yeah.
A big thing though, guys, is in that, as we were talking, Max, you and I, on the last episode with respect to the network logo, WWE Championship and the Universal Championship, side plates really do this belt justice. I really do think so. And they definitely do that on the Raw and the SmackDown women's, just because of the color. Do I like this belt more that it has side plates? I do. I really do. Just because I'm not drawn in to as much red going on from the main plate down to the side plates and even on the blue SmackDown version. So side plates, I absolutely love. I really do. I'll show off my SmackDown women's when we get there. But as far as this belt goes, and even having Charlotte's side plates, I think, are a little bit basic. I mean, I've seen better ones. But if you guys,
sorry, her newer ones or her?
Well, I think it's her first ones, aren't they? Don't they just
basically have a couple of the bejewels like she has on her eye normally. That's kind of the way.
Yeah, and I mean Alexa could be changing them. Who knows what happens at Extreme Rules? Who knows if she's going to be having new side plates? But and this goes out to our universe, with respect to side plates. I really think that they do a belt justice. I really do. I mean, and Max can attest to his blue Universal, that awesome one that we were looking at in the previous episode. If you guys can get them, definitely go for it. But for this belt, I think it would be really nice to have them.
Yeah.
Now I will say, going to replica, one thing we didn't mention about this replica, Toys R Us actually did replica belts. They did, what was it, Jax, I believe?
Jax.
The plastic plates. So you were talking about size as far as this belt goes. Now, if you get a WWE shop version, you're going to get a small women's title. If you buy and I've got the network logo over here of the Toys R Us version. I don't know what you call it now. I mean, it's still a Toys R Us version. I think I'm not sure where you can buy it now, but it looks just like a replica belt. It has the feel of a commemorative belt. The problem is they do make you've got the network logo, and then you've got the Raw Women's title. The problem with the Raw Women's title, it is an adult male size. So if you get the shop version, you're getting that small women's title size.
Yeah.
If you get it from Jack's and you get that plastic commemorative top belt, you're going to get a full adult size belt.
Mm.
Yeah, no, that's a good
weird.
point. That's a good point. So we here in Canada still have Toys R Us. I don't know if they sell them still there. I don't think so.
I've never seen them.
I don't. But you're absolutely right, though, Wayne. Jamie,
look at this quality.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can see, and it's weird, and to tell you the guys the truth. So if we get really into this, Belt Addicts Anonymous, be very, very careful on this belt. There are a lot of people who try to sell these belts, and they pass them off as the higher end commemorative. And when they show the picture of the back, here's what it is. The patch on a regular WWE shop belt, you're going to have a little bit of a longer wool with the width. On the Toys R Us, you're going to have like a square. There it is, the square version. So, and then the rivets. I think those are rivets that are passed off as screws. So be really, really careful. I've seen people get, scammed. They pay $200 for that when it's not worth that. Now, with respect to rarity, I'm not sure, but be really careful. What is it? It is a commemorative. It's known to be a lower end commemorative belt.
Yeah.
But I have seen people get scammed. And it goes out to our universe. If you are having any queries about that, message one of the admins, myself, Max, or anybody else, and we'll definitely help you out.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, Rob. I was trying to look for a shop commemorative title just to modify my universe. I was trying out the stack plates. And I got a lot of the Jack specific belts. Most of the people told me. One of them told me it was a shop replica. And I was like, okay, let me check the back. He sent me the picture.
No.
It had the rivets. It had the... So I was like, no. So be careful. Be careful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a nice replica, but there are a few differences between the shop commemorative and the Toy specific, Jack specific commemorative. So just be careful.
Yeah, if you want a really good cheap display piece, we bought one of these for a friend of ours. It was his first ever belt, and that is a perfect first belt because you can kind of roughhouse with it. I mean, it's a relatively cheap belt. You can throw it around. It's not really going to fall apart. It's a very great belt, and the strap is literally it's a little stiffer than your shop replica, but it's not much. I mean, you've got a full size replica for 25% of the price you pay for an actual adult replica. So I would recommend them all day. Just know your price point. Like you say, if anybody sees it in your guys' group, please hit up your admin and get their ideas because you can buy these $125 all day. There's no need to pay $200 plus.
No. That's a great deal for $100. It's wonderful.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Now, moving on to the SmackDown Women's title, it's funny that when they first unveiled it before Backlash 2016, after the draft, they were using a replica for the first few weeks. Even when Becky won it, they were using the replica. And you can tell the stones are plastic stones. You can see the stitching there. The sidebars are thin. I just found it funny, but just talking about design, do you guys prefer the SmackDown or the Raw? Because personally, I prefer the SmackDown. Just speaking of design, what do you guys think?
Wayne, go for it.
I guess it comes down to which color you like more. Blue is my favorite color, but again, that red pops on the white strap. This is kind of hard. It's kind of the same cookie with a different color, or a different condiment, or something. So I like them both equally. The blue is a little more subtle, in my opinion. The red sticks out there. And we all know what happens when you have like an all red belt with the Universal title. So I think the red, the really bright red, works better on this title, on that pearl white strap. The blue is just a little more subtle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for me, I love blue. I love the color blue, and I mean for this title, I agree with you, Wayne. It is a little bit more subtle. It is. for the side plates that I have on it, like this. So this is my version. Like I've got Sasha Banks
That
side
looks really good.
and it actually makes it look really, really good with the contrast with the blue and the red. I know that they've got the new side plates with the boss time. I think it would be too much blue if I put it on there. I really, really do. But I really think it goes really, really well with this belt. This was actually my first women's belt in my collection, and it came like that. that I got really, really lucky. The
That's
strap,
a decent curve.
it really, really is. And I have to be really honest. The way that they packed the belt, guys, I couldn't have done it even better, because how they did it was they packed it folded up perfectly. So it already came worked in. So now, is the strap, could it be better? Of course. All right. I know Max can attest to re-leathering and everything. Definitely. But for a shop belt, not too bad. It really, really isn't.
For sure.
I do like this belt. I definitely do. I'm more of and Max knows, I like the SmackDown roster a lot more. I've always have, with respect to it. And I mean, I'm a big Roman fan. I mean, I know Roman's he'll never hold this title. But I do love SmackDown, and I love the blue. I really do. So, but that's just my.
To me, I prefer the blue one because it makes the red swoosh pop a lot more. For the Raw, I just think it's too much red, and I really do prefer. That's why I like even on the Universal, I do prefer like the black swoosh. I like the contrast, so yeah, definitely prefer this one. And yeah, better champions. I just prefer the roster too, so more fond memories in my opinion.
Yeah, and I'm a big Becky fan. I was just about to say, for the first SmackDown Women's Champion, I'm a huge Becky fan. So I mean, when I see it, I definitely see her. I see Bayley with her big run. I mean, Bayley's such a good person. She really, really is. Plays the heel really well. So I'm really happy that she had a lot of success with this title. I really do. Sasha was not that bad with it. I think Bianca kind of got buried a bit. Just unfortunate.
I love Bianca. Just saying, at WrestleMania after WrestleMania, when she won, I was so happy. I was so close to buying this replica from the shop and just getting it just re-leathered, restoned in Bianca. But maybe one day. I do want to get this belt, especially with Bianca plates. I just love Bianca, favorite wrestler.
Yeah, but what do you think, Wayne?
No, I was going to say you're talking about getting this belt re-leathered. Honestly, dude, if I were you, if you get this belt, I wouldn't get it re-leathered. I don't think it would be kind of hard to get this color white on this strap. If you've got a good re-leather, maybe. But I'm serious. It's not a white strap. It's kind of a mother of pearl. No, it works perfectly. If you see it in the light, it's an unbelievable color. Maybe re-stoned, but unless you can have somebody prove to you they can kind of match that color. Yeah, I'd probably keep it stock.
For sure. And I know what you mean. It's like a pearl, almost like it has like a shine to it, which I really do enjoy. But for me, I get most of my belts re-leathered. I hate the stock straps. And I know it's just for display, but I have seen Paul Martin re-leather this belt, and he gotten the color pretty close to it. So you're right. If I wouldn't go for just a white strap, I would have to make sure it's a pearl. But we'll have to see. Someday down the road, not now, but one day. Now, moving on to, we're talking about NXT now, the current NXT Women's title. I just love this belt. I love the design. Of course, when it was unveiled, it was the similar design to the men's title, just more silver for the NXT logo, and of course, it women's on the top. I really enjoy it. I love the continuity. I love how it's the similar design to the men's title. Just to me, makes it seem at the same level as the men's title, which I think it should be. That's what I love about it. What do you guys think?
I love it too. I mean, and I know what the next slide is, but when I do think about this belt, I do think Shayna Baszler, with respect to this belt. I do like the design. I really do. I think that, with these new line of NXT belts, compared to the longer strap, the one that's over Wayne's shoulder, on the men's version, I think that this belt, I just think that they really, really did a really good job with it. I really do. I do like it with NXT, with the NXT side plates. I know this one has WWE, the WWE logo. I think when they did the NXT version, I think they did, right, guys? Like they did. They came back out with the NXT, but I do like it. I really do. And what they're doing with NXT version 2.0, I don't want to get into that, but they probably are rebranding. Who knows with the belts? But
Yeah.
I do like this belt. I don't have it in my collection. It does come out as a smaller version than NXT men's belt version 2, but. I do like it. I mean, I think about, like I said, I think about Shayna. Rhea held it. I think about, all those other fine wrestlers that are now up on the main roster. So it's a great belt.
Yeah, and I love the silver. Just before Wayne goes, I love the silver NXT logo. Beautiful. Wayne, what do you think?
Yeah, I was gonna say I really enjoyed the first NXT titles. I enjoyed the NXT title. I enjoyed the NXT Women's title. Actually, I didn't enjoy the tag team titles as much, but I mean they were all original. They all had that black and gold. The only bad thing about this one, it's a fingerprint magnet. The same with the women's title.
Yeah.
One thing and you can kind of see UFC started getting really popular again. UFC kind of comes and goes. It ebbs and flows is what I meant. It got really popular again. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, they kind of rebranded their belts first, I believe.
Yeah,
and then
with the
NXT kind of followed, and then they had that MMA style look. And when I think of this, I think of MMA. Now, one cool classic feature that they added that they don't really have in any other belts, you've got grommets back on these. I love grommets in belts. The tooling is perfect. Now, have you guys seen, I think To the Extreme Leather has actually re-stoned, or not re-stoned because it was never
stoned,
they
to the
stoned
NXT.
the X. I think that would be a good accentuator. Maybe they can get there. But again, it depends on if they're going to rebrand NXT 2.0 and come out with new belts, because this new logo, I don't think fits these belts. So I guess we're kind of in a wait and see formation. I do like this belt. Just like Rob, I do not have this belt in my collection. I don't have a mini belt. The good thing about this belt, if you happen to find it on the market, you're not going to spend very much, probably $250 on this belt, because you guys remember a couple years ago there was a glitch in WWE Shop. These belts were selling out for $50 for a 6-hour period. People bought 5 and 6 at a time, and then turned around and flipped them. So if you see this belt on the market, chances are you're going to get it for a good price.
Yeah, and Wick for you, he's got a channel. He mentioned he just did a replica belt collection. He ended up getting this for $50. That was when the glitch came. So yeah, guys, you're not going to be spending a whole ton on it. When they do go on sale on the shop, they're usually discounted down quite heavily. So it is a great replica to add. So just so you know,
of course.
Also, it gives you a reason to keep checking WWE Shop. You never know what you're going to find. So this is the Universal Champion finger ring. This is a $50 ring, $3 on a glitch.
Oh, wow. The markup.
Oh my god.
Well, I ended up buying 5, and I think I gave away every other one. I'm a bad salesman. I'm a terrible salesman. If somebody's like, "Hey, that's cool," I'm like, "Oh, here, hey."
There you go. The markup on those is just massive, though.
Yeah. I'm surprised they shipped all those NXT champion titles.
Well, they had no choice.
I guess so.
I think it even went to Amazon. Well, Amazon had another glitch. I can't remember what the Amazon glitch was. Maybe it was a title, but if you catch it, and from what I heard, if you catch it and you put next day delivery, that kind of rushes you out and before they catch it.
Yeah, no, definitely check out. You can find out on Facebook groups. Just keep an eye out. Just always, constantly, just in case. Absolutely. I always peer, every day I check shop, just in case, hoping, praying that this is a little off topic. We're talking about NXT. The NXT UK tag titles come out. I've been wanting this for the longest time. I know I say it every episode, but I do check shop every day just in case there's another glitch or a new belt, but just be on the lookout. Yeah. Now, Rob, you were talking about Shayna Baszler, and I absolutely loved her reign. When I think about this version of the NXT Championship, I think of Shayna Baszler and her side plates. Love those side plates. I just absolutely loved her reign.
I totally agree. And those side plates, I think, just do wonders for that belt. And I mean, the way that she added such prestige to this title and being the champion that she was for as long as she was, I think it's absolutely incredible. I wish that, now her being on the roster, I wish they'd give her a little bit more of the push. I really, really do. I think she's a fantastic wrestler. She's gotten a lot better, I think, on the mic as well. I know that there was a time that Vince did not like her. I think there was a time that when she first came up that she had an issue. But when she tagged with Nia, I'm not a Nia fan, but
No.
I think she's a wrestler that's a real deserving. I do like her style of wrestling.
Mhm.
I like what she did with this belt, so I am a big Baszler fan.
And she's so unique. You don't see really too many women's wrestlers like that in WWE, especially. It's just
Very, very, and she, and I've heard that people that have met her, she's a really good person. Like, she really is. I mean, she plays it really, really well on TV, but a fantastic individual, fantastic wrestler. So
The problem with WWE right now is they're kind of, the same thing with Rhea Ripley, the same thing they did with Asuka when she first came in. They play with them really hard for a day, and then they put them in the toy box for a little while, and then every once in a while they bring them out and say, "Oh, that's the problem." There's not, unless your name is Charlotte, you're not going to be at the forefront of everything. I mean, yeah, they'll play with the toy for a little bit, but then they put it back in the toy box, let it get cold, and then. And kudos to a lot of these wrestlers. They scratch and claw, and they get themselves over despite the company, it seems sometimes. And then WWE will pull them out of the toy box again and play with them until they get tired of it again. So I do hope they do more with Shayna Baszler, and time will tell.
I totally agree.
for sure. Now, moving on to NXT UK, the NXT UK Women's title. I absolutely love this belt. It's same thing as WWE following the men's title design. Just wonderful design. Of course, it has the same pearl strap. You can't really tell in this picture, but it is a pearl strap. The plates look wonderful. Absolutely love it. What do you guys think?
I'm a big fan of it too. I think it does. I think they've taken it off the men's version and everything. And I've heard. I don't know, guys. I've heard horror stories, and I know that we're going to be going into replicas. I do. The paint. Let's talk about paint. So the paint on the back of the main plate here, I think that they're just really cutting corners with respect to this paint. I've been hearing just comes off quite a bit, and we've been talking about that on prior episodes. We talked about that on Cruiserweights. We talked about that. Everything. As far as this belt goes, I mean, I love it. I definitely do. I definitely do. The white is kind of cool, the white strap and everything, and with the side plates, and I think it's a great title. I just want them, when they put out these replicas, to just don't cut corners on this. I mean, don't cut corners. And for guys here in Canada that get these belts, we can't ship them back, WWE Shop. We can't. If we get damage, we either have to know what we're doing in order to fix it, or we just got to live with it. So I just, if you're going to be paying a price tag on these belts, and there's such a high markup on these belts, I'd like them to be made a little bit more carefully and more thought out. That's just where I'm going. As far as design go, I do love it. I absolutely do.
Yeah, no, I don't know if you guys remember when the first when the men's UK title came out, there was so much prestige behind it. I think everybody collectively, their jaw dropped, and it was just such a beautiful title. Not only do you have that with this title, but you have that vertical NXT logo, and I always love that vertical NXT logo. I don't have the adult replica, but I do have the mini, and
Nice.
To me, this belt, this mini in particular, you can see that pearl white.
Yeah.
Almost perfectly, because you have that contrast with the main plate and with the side plate. So you have that. This is that perfect pearl white color. I don't think at the time I didn't think it. This is what I thought was laziness. Is when you take a prestigious title, you just shrink it down and you make that your women's title. But if the quality wasn't just the quality is so good, I forgive it. I love this title. I do want to get the replica version eventually, but the mini belt is awesome. I would recommend one thing. I've got a lot of mini belts. I recommend, guys, if you can't afford an adult replica belt, you can't afford anything, these minis are perfect for anything you want. You can put them on your desk as paperweights. You can display them. We probably have 50, I think, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
They're just perfect. They have the same quality as a replica belt. The difference is, you got your 2x3 snap boxes instead of, 2x7, 2x6. Just these are perfect. They normally go for around $70, but you can catch them on sale for $40, $50. If you can't afford to buy an adult replica belt, I'd definitely look into getting these. These are great displays.
Yeah, and see people collecting mini belts and have those big cases. Those look really good too. So
Yeah,
definitely a great choice. Now, speaking of moving on to the current champion. Speaking of replicas, we're going to go over the current shop replicas. We're not going to go over the Figs Inc. ones because they're a bit hard to get. So we'll just go over the ones that shop currently sells. Of course, the 5mm WWE Attitude Era Women's version. And I noticed that the tooling there is the incorrect tooling. It has a WWE champion. Never used that, but I don't know. Weird. Of course, it has the removable side plate, thick plates. It's not bad. I mean, if you like the design, it's a nice replica. Of course, it has a nice backing. It's okay.
I absolutely agree. I mean, with respect to the Figs Inc. belts, I mean, they're going, they had 2mm belts, and now they've been putting out these thicker plates. You are going to get probably a better strap. You're going to get a better make of the plates. You definitely are. I know that people, when they collect the belts, if they are Figs Inc. belt collectors like myself, would they go with the shop version? I'm a mix between the two. I'm a mix between the Figs Inc. and the shop version, so maybe I would get this. But you are absolutely correct, Max. I mean, the incorrect tooling is around the strap. I mean, I know I've seen the back of this strap. It is a really, really nice color, really nice strap that they do have, the brown on the back of the strap. So it's still a nice belt. It absolutely is. Now, I'm sorry, I'm looking at this. Was the nameplate on the Figs Inc. version? They have a nameplate on this. I just don't know. On that 2mm WWF, I don't know. If you guys know, you can drop in the comments below. But they have a nameplate. Sure. I don't know. I really don't know. But
I like the nameplate. I think it's a good place.
Yeah, it's still a solid replica, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Moving on to the Divas title. I mean, I don't like it, but it is pretty well made. So if you like the design, it's not bad, I think.
Yeah, now I know we didn't show this, but this is the Divas belt that they do have on the shop. This is it. So it is not bad. It isn't. The only thing, I mean, I'm going to comment here, and Beltmark Bill ended up putting this on his YouTube channel. He's a hell of a belt collector. But with respect to the curve, guys, there is no curve. It is flat as an effing pancake, okay? And if you try to curve this, if you do, you'll probably break it because it's stacked, okay? So if you want to try that, go for it. But like nothing. Like you would expect a little bit of a curve. Like that is as flat. And we call that up here in Canada, guys, as flat as Saskatchewan, right? It totally is. As far as the belt goes, I mean, I do like it, but if you try to put it over your shoulder, that strap way up. You're better at hanging this belt, anyways. But that's just my take on it. Wayne, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure as far as quality goes, and it's the same as the Attitude Era Women's title. With the quality of these new replica belts, I would almost recommend getting them all because they are as close to the actual thing as you can get. I know I've seen a boot of this belt before. To me, you're not going to get a good boot of this belt. There are just some belts that you can't boot. This is one of those. So yeah, I mean, I'd recommend getting it just for the quality. I kind of wish I'd have got it. I think it dropped down to like $147 on shop. I was tempted to get it, but my wife actually she wasn't having it. So, which is weird. You know, the wife telling me no on this. So I don't know.
That's a bad belt.
Like I said, we do have the mini, and she did make a comment one time. She wants to have an adult replica. She's not going to go complete Colin and have the trifecta, but she does want an actual adult replica for every mini we have.
It's fair.
Now moving on to the Raw Women's title. Now I know this has a few issues. The swoosh is an actual paint, so I've heard some horror stories, people's like swoosh coming off. I mean, not a huge issue. You can just either glue it back on or just repaint it. But I mean, it's a well-made replica. I mean, the sizing is correct. As far as the thickness of the plates go, they are, I believe, they're 5 millimeter.
Yeah,
Probably thicker than 4.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right, though, about the issues. Brandon Hodge unboxed this for his fiance at the time, like we were stating here, and it came with a swoosh that was missing. Be really, really careful, guys. Like I said, WWE has cut corners. Those are stickers that are put in. They're 3-piece stickers that are in each of the swoosh on the left, the middle, and the right. As far as stones go, they do pop out. They give you replacement stones. If the swoosh does pop out, you can either put it back in, or as Max was saying, you can paint it, but you can use Tester's enamel paint to properly paint that. Now, finding the shade of red, that I don't know. I mean, it's you can go to Michael's. You can actually take the belt with you, and you can ask somebody at Michael's what it is because I've done that with one of my belts for the Blue Intercontinental to get the same shade on the globe with respect to the blue. So as far as that goes, I mean.
Is it ask around belt groups?
Yeah,
I'm sure someone will know.
Yeah. So right here, this part of the swoosh, this actually did come off for us. I've had this situation with this belt, and then I had a set of Goldberg side plates where the black above the Goldberg actually came off. It really isn't that hard, guys. We went and found a super glue. You don't have to coat the whole bottom. You just put maybe a dot or two, set it down in there, and it sticks. Now you can tell. When you think there is a giveaway for when these things might come out, you can actually feel when you move them a little bit if they have any give to them. Chances are they'll probably come out at some point in time. So just keep an eye on them, make sure they're not falling out, and keep an eye on them when they do fall out. That way, all you got to do is put your super glue on them. And like I said, just a dab will do you. Just maybe right in the center, put it on there. And I don't know if you guys can tell, you can't see a difference. I mean, there's no
can't even
difference.
tell which one fell out.
No, you can't.
Now, the SmackDown Women's title, similar things. The swoosh might come out, but it's not bad. I do really want to get this in the future. I for sure would want to get it restoned. Like Wayne was saying, releathering would be kind of hard because of the pearl color. But I have to do some research and make sure the releather can do the correct color. Right now, my main one is Ryan Richards. I'm not sure if he's done this. I don't know if you guys know Ryan Richards, Northern Image Design. He's really good. He did my AEW tag. He did my NXT championship. Great leather. He's improved a lot. And I'd probably have to talk to him and see if he could do the correct color. I'm sure he can work with me. He's a great guy. He's very honest. So I'm sure I can talk to him about it because I don't want the white, like Wayne was saying, it's the pearl, and that I need that color. So yeah, definitely want to get this in the future with Bianca side plates, just a tribute for her. What do you guys think about this belt, Rob?
I'm a very big fan of it. I like the blue. As I showed off with my my Sasha Banks side plates, I wouldn't be getting the Sasha Banks Boss Time plates. I think it would be too much blue for this.
Yeah.
As far as it goes, I do like it. Solid replica. I love having it hung on my wall. Was my first women's belt that I did have in my collection. So again, a big fan of it. And some of the difficulties with respect to the swoosh. I mean, it is what it is. I can handle that. I can handle the stones. I mean, absolutely. And again, it goes out to our Belt Addicts Anonymous universe. If you have any issues, message one of the admins, message anybody, and we'll definitely help you out with that.
For sure.
Yes.
Now
I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, I was going to say there is one superstar that we haven't mentioned who is associated with this belt because of a custom job they did on this belt. My wife is a huge Naomi fan.
Yeah.
And, that's one reason I do love this belt. She took an actual replica and sent it and had it customized with the neon lights and everything. There is actually a guy in the groups that had one of his belts customized the same way Naomi did. I would love to do it. I think he said it cost about $2,000, but that would be a very limited edition item that you would have. You would have your replica, and you would have it customized in the exact same way Naomi did. Kudos to Naomi; she is such a good worker. Like I said, Victoria really loves her. We went to WrestleCon in Orlando when Naomi, I can't remember if she won the title or if she defended it at Mania 33. I think she won it. Yeah, I think she won it at Mania 33. It was in her hometown. But we met Scott Hall. He was one of the guys that we met. Victoria was wearing a Naomi shirt, and Scott Hall actually stopped her to talk about how good Naomi was. I mean, to actually put on a conversation, that's when you know you're a good superstar.
Yeah.
Is when you're in line, and the person you're meeting actually has to stop you and talk about how good, that person in your shirt is such a good person, such a good worker. So that is one reason I would love to have this belt. I would love to buy it. I would love to get it customized to Naomi, because we actually have one of her signed 33 plaques up here. That's another thing that I love. I've got several plaques. I've got the Brock Lesnar signed WrestleMania 33 plaque, Ronda Rousey, Kurt Angle signed plaque from Mania 34, 35, I can't remember. Naomi, I've got of course, the plaque that we're going to talk about in a little bit, Alexa Bliss dual champion plaque. Plaques are also a great collectible item.
Mm-hmm, for sure. Mm-hmm. Now moving on to the NXT Women's title. I know we talked about how it was $50 for a time. But yeah, like Wayne was saying, they're always on sale. Most of the time they're on sale. If you want to get a good deal on this, probably Black Friday's coming up. Holiday season always have sales, so just be on the lookout. I mean, don't pay full price for this belt or most shop belts. You can find them on sale most of the time. So yeah, great belt, great replica. Of course, has the nice removable side plates. I believe the one they sell in the shop right now still doesn't have the NXT side plates. They still have the WWE side plates, which is interesting, but yeah, nice replica. The NXT UK Women's title, I think, is one of the best made replicas. The pearl is absolutely wonderful. You can see there, just beautiful. The gold plating looks amazing. Just love it. I want to get this so badly. I love it.
And that vertical NXT logo, that's a very underrated logo. I just, for some reason, that works for me. I'm not exactly sure why. That logo, and then this NXT logo where you had the big X in the middle and the N and the T on each side. Those are my two favorite NXT logos.
Yeah. I think it looks really good on the men's title too, the NXT version. I prefer it over the WWE. Now, I wish it was silver. I think it would be some nice contrast there. Speaking on the WWE UK men's title, the first version that had the silver WWE logo, I think if the NXT logo was silver, I think it'd look really nice, but still looks wonderful. Now, the Evolution replica. I think Wayne might have one or two of these. I'm not sure. I'm not too sure. Maybe. But this was released after the Evolution, or during the Evolution pay-per-view. They had the side plates, the belt, and the mini. So, Wayne, go ahead.
Yeah, so again, the Evolution collection that we have, that is my wife's. That is Victoria's, Miss Balorfan85's. She enjoys collecting, but there were two belts in particular that she had to have as soon as she saw them. The first one was WrestleMania 33, when we found out that the Superstore had New Day themed belts. There were only 12 or 13 at the time. We missed out on it there. But fast forward, I think a couple weeks, all of a sudden they were on shop. We picked them up.
Nice.
And that is one of her favorite belts of all time. The next one, so of course you're seeing the Evolution setup right there. When Evolution came out, Victoria she was really digging it. Evolution was kicking in. Just everybody was firing on all cylinders, and all of a sudden WWE Shop came out with this replica belt. Not sure exactly how many were made, but I know it didn't last long. So I went to go order it, and it was off shop. And that happens sometimes. It'll sell out really quick. But if you keep paying attention, like you said, you were paying attention to shop every day, sometimes it comes back up. As a matter of fact, I've got a Sting plaque that was off of shop for over a year from his Survivor Series that all of a sudden popped up one day, and I snagged it. I guess for some reason they found one. But anyways, I was looking on WWE Shop, and bam, there was one right there. As soon as I clicked buy, it was gone. I mean, they must have found one. So this, and we bought it. It was strictly stock, so these side plates, these were added a little later. But this is the WWE Evolution belt. I'm not gonna lie, it's a gimmick grab. I mean, it's a cash grab. This is a standard network logo. Instead of a blue or a red patch, this is a teal patch. That's the biggest difference. And if you look back here, you have a teal patch too.
Yeah, it's got the
So,
teal.
if I can get in here on it, it just says Evolution. So those are the two main things. So I've had so many people reach out and want to buy this belt, and I kept telling people, "Hey, listen, we're not going to sell it, but if one comes open, we'll message you and let you know if we find one." In between that time, of course, we went to a WWE SmackDown, and we got this christened. We got this christened by the man herself, Becky Lynch. And then all of a sudden, shout out to Eddie Williams. Eddie Williams is one of the guys in the belt hobby who, he works with a lot of makers and things like that. He actually reached out to me and he was trying to get a price on an Evolution belt because somebody had one for sale. So I reached out. I had like 4 or 5 people that were begging for this belt. So I reached out to every one of them, and some got back, some didn't. After about an hour and a half, nobody got back to me at that time. So Victoria's like, why don't we just go ahead and buy it? This was the Evolution title. It came with these side plates. It came with an actual ticket from the show. And it was a good price. Now, don't get me wrong. These are pretty expensive now. I mean, they're really rare. These may be the rarest belts on WWE Shop.
Yeah.
So we went ahead and bought it. Now, one of the guys we mentioned, Colin finally got back with me. He was one of the guys that I'd reached out to and told him that it was for sale. Colin found out that I bought it, and I basically I sold it to him for what we paid for it. With the exception, he didn't want the side plates, so we got to keep the side plates.
Nice.
So he got it, and you guys know Colin. For those that don't know Colin, he goes in trends. One day he wants to be a trifecta king. The next day he wants American-made belts. The next day he wants the rarest belts out there. And then all of a sudden he's selling them. So I saw him post the Evolution title because I told him when we sold it to him, I said, hey, if you ever decide to sell it, I would love to buy it back. So he decided to sell it. I reached out to him, and I was able to buy it back. So now we do have 2 Evolution belts. And I couldn't be happier. Again, these are Victoria's. These are not mine. She will kill me if she sees me wearing these. So don't show this to anybody. Don't show this to anybody.
I'll have to blur it out.
I'm going to drop them and probably hurt them. But yeah, 2 WWE Evolution belts. Just love them. Love them.
I know Rob's just probably there just having a orgasm looking
salivating in my mouth. I'm telling you, those are.
One thing I love these Evolution side plates right here.
Oh, they
make the Evolution logo. You've got the date, and it works perfectly. I wouldn't put any other. I don't even think I'd put Becky Lynch plates on these. This is perfect. You got the Evolution side plates on the Evolution title. I don't know. I love the teal. In my opinion, this is better than any blue or red patch.
Yes.
But again, I'm not going to lie. As much as I enjoy having these belts, this was a big cash grab from WWE. This was lazy. This was putting a teal patch on a standard replica and going, okay, we're going to sell this for well over the price.
And everyone's going crazy.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Beltgasm. That's all I can say. If I had that belt, I'd frame it. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, we want to frame it. So I don't know if you've seen our setup. We've got the big Evolution plaque that's signed by everybody in Evolution. By the way, here's another thing. If you guys see something that looks way too expensive on WWE Shop, if you wait long enough, they're probably not selling and they're going to drop. This plaque that I'm talking about was $1,000, and it was signed by everybody in there. I knew I wanted it, but I wasn't going to spend $1,000 on it. So we waited. It went almost a whole year still on shop. And then it got to Black Friday. It had already been marked off like 60%. And then it got marked off another 30%. So instead of paying $1,000, I think I spent under $200.
Wow.
And got this. And it's signed by everybody that was on the Evolution card. Ronda Rousey, the Bellas, Charlotte. I mean, it's signed by everybody. So we've got that set up, and then right up underneath it, we've got the 2 Evolution belts hanging vertically. Right next to that, we've got the NXT Women's title hanging. On each side of the NXT Women's title, we have a page glove, and on the Evolution title, we have a couple of Asuka masks. So that's kind of our setup right now over in our women's title area. Oh, and we've got the Evolution chair. We bought the Evolution pay-per-view chair, so love that too.
Amazing.
And do you have the Evolution mini belt? Or
Yeah. I keep forgetting about these. I have the Evolution mini belt right here. Shop had sold out, so we had to buy this on eBay, and we probably paid, 50. It was probably a 50% markup.
that's not that bad.
So you've
I've
got-
seen worse.
It's not bad. And again, you're going with a teal motif on the back, so I absolutely love the teal motif.
That's cool.
But yeah,
It'd be cool if they
belt.
did the teal backing for the full size replica.
Yeah,
The
no,
whole backing.
that would be nice. I do kind of like the fact there's a teal patch because
No, yeah, that's nice.
it is kind of just that perfect contrast where you have a complete black backing, then you have that teal right there. It pops. It's really nice. But yeah, the Evolution titles, complete cash grab, but I'm glad we got to.
No, it's a wonderful collection. If you
Unreal.
guys want to see more of his amazing collection, of course, check out their YouTube channel, Balorfan85. They do belt reviews, talk about just amazing reviews, just so entertaining. Great videos. I know me and Rob are both huge fans. I watch every video, so it's really fun. Now, that does bring us to the end of this episode. But before we get to that, let's talk about next week. Next week will be an interesting episode. We're going over the Cruiserweight / Light Heavyweight Championships. That'll be from WCW all the way to the current NXT Cruiserweight Championship. Now, we'll announce the co-host later next week. And yeah, that's great. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure to subscribe to Balorfan85. And we'll see you guys in the next episode.